We're going to wait just a few more minutes so that more people can come in, and we'll begin shortly.
Hi team, good morning.
Good morning.
What was the final count, Elizabeth?
By the way, we're live in the webinar right now, and we are waiting for people to come in.
Okay.
Cool. All right, we'll probably start in 5-ish minutes or so. Again, thank you all for taking the time this morning to join. If you have to drop off or anything in between, don't worry, we'll send out a recording afterwards as well. Welcome into the webinar. For those who are just joining, we're just waiting a couple more minutes before we begin, but very excited to kick this off in a little bit. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Again, thank you everyone for joining. Today we have our What's New with Fieldwire webinar. And this is really an opportunity for us to showcase all of our product updates, as well as really some of the values that we can bring into your workflows. My name is Elizabeth Tang, and I am the product marketing manager at Fieldwire. I'll be the moderator of the webinar today, and throughout the webinar, it's going to be roughly like an hour long. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop it in the chat, and we'll be able to answer those either towards the end of each segment of the webinar or towards the very end. And if we don't get back to you, we'll probably email you to get those questions answered. All right. The agenda for today is pretty simple. We'll have our first segment on an introduction to FieldWire. This is really the foundations of FieldWire if you're new to our company and the platform. Next, we have High Speed Rail joint venture with Pierce Junker. And then we have product updates from basically the last couple months, as well as the upcoming couple weeks. Calling it kind of like a summer product updates kickoff. And then we're gonna wrap it up with Dean Snyder Construction with Michael Huff and just some Q&A at the end. All right. All right, I'm gonna hand it off to Ben and Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Rosebush. I've worked with FieldWire as an account executive for about 3.5 years now. I worked closely with a range of companies, many similar to a lot of the ones we have on the call here today. I'm super excited to go over some company background of FieldWire and Hilti with you today. Also joining us today here for a product overview is Kevin from our construction team.
Thanks, Ben. My name is Kevin Driscoll, and I'm a construction solutions engineer here at FieldWire. So just for context, everyone on our construction team comes from the construction industry. I myself come from a mechanical contracting and mechanical consulting engineering background, and then all of our solutions engineers are product experts on FieldWire. So it'll be my job to guide the intro demo here today.
Perfect. So just wanted to give you guys a little bit of like timeline as to where FieldWire was founded and where we are today. So back in 2013, FieldWire was founded as a way to really address three main problems that otherwise contractors would typically need to purchase several different software solutions to solve. One of those would be accessing up-to-date information in the field. The second would be planning and managing work on the fly. And the third would be documenting and reporting progress. So if we then fast forward and build off that functionality to 2021, we partnered, as some of you might know, with the group company of Hilti. And now with the support of Hilti's worldwide network, we'll continue to grow and evolve as a company in both North America and Europe. And it's actually not just here in Europe. We're used on over 1 million projects worldwide now. And here's just a heat map showcasing some of the most prominent areas FieldWire is actually being used across the entire globe now. And as some of you may know, Hilti is like a multinational company based out of Liechtenstein in Europe. So they specialize in products for the construction, building maintenance, energy, and manufacturing industries. So together, FieldWire and Hilti are committed to building a future with our hardware, software, and service offerings. As now part of Hilti's software division, FieldWire is here to make construction smoother through solutions that will help drive efficiency in your workflows. So FieldWire really solves problems around access, management, documentation, and integrates everything in one easy-to-use platform. More specifically, FieldWire specializes in empowering its users to always have up-to-date plans, files, reports, whether that's at your office or on your mobile device, tablet, or smartphone. That'll give you peace of mind knowing you have instant access to everything you may need for your projects in the field. It also helps with coordinating work with our task engine, which has real-time messaging, checklists, templates, and more. And that allows you to easily communicate with other relevant stakeholders on the issues that arise on site. And finally, FieldWire is a great tool to track and report on overall project progress. So being able to leverage things like photos, videos, and forms to document progress and issues in real time on site. So the benefit of that is there's no more real need to check your emails or track down information. Everything's updated in real time. FieldWire's won lots of awards, and it's a 5-star app, as shown here on the right side. But the thing to really note here, the common thread throughout all these reviews online boil down to a couple of things that set us apart in the industry. And that's really the ease of use and a smooth adoption and implementation of the system as a whole. So, and on the left side, you can see Ryan Hanlon, a design manager from one of our larger customers, Built, had some positive things to say about us regarding, streamlining their communication and ability to access documentation on site. And FieldWire wasn't designed specifically for any one type of company. a variety of different types of contractors use FieldWire. So here's just a few notable examples of that. Some of these may look familiar. And as we go to the next slide, just wanted to add a final note here that FieldWire is a company. We have an entire in-house team that actually comes from the construction industry. They have a construction background. Some of those individuals are actually joining us today on the webinar. They've really helped shape the DNA of our product as a whole, as well as help deploy larger companies that onboard our solution for their teams. So that concludes our company background portion for now. Back to you, Elizabeth.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. So before I hand it off to Kevin to show us the ins and outs of the product, I have 3 poll questions for everybody. And these questions are centered around reporting and also your forms processes. So I'm going to launch that first question. It's going to pop up on your screen. Go ahead and select one or more answer. Again, these poll questions are for us to really understand the audience for today and see how we can kind of, maybe dive into something a little bit more or explain something a little bit more. But this is to help you all as well. Let's take another couple seconds here. I see 60% of y'all have voted. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And here are the results. If you're not utilizing forms on FieldWire right now, what data workflows do you feel would be useful? And I see that half and half, like most people are picking QA/QC as well as daily. So that is something that we're definitely going to be covering in just a little bit. All right. The next question I have set up, I'm going to launch it right now. How are you currently tracking your various internal forms? So that could include inspection forms, safety, dailies, etc. Are you using paper? Is there another software that you're relying on? Or maybe you don't have a forms process currently, right? And you're interested in getting that started. And we're happy to be here to kind of handhold you through that process too. All right, let's take another 20 seconds. Cool, I'm gonna go ahead and close the poll now. And it seems like 59% of those who filled out the poll are using another type of software. And some of us also just, maybe may not have a process in place right now. Cool. All right, last and final poll question. Thank you all for doing this. I'm going to launch it. How are you currently tracking open items on your projects? So is it through meetings with your team, just by memory, Excel, another software, or maybe it's a mix between text messages, emails, or you're probably already on FieldWire. All right, 10 more seconds. All right, awesome. I'm going to close the poll now. Okay, so a bulk of you are on FieldWire, and I see that there's also a reliance on either Excel or other softwares in place. All right, thank you all so much. I am gonna hand it off to Kevin, who's gonna present our next segment.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth.
I am trying to give you, there we go.
All right. So, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Wonderful. Yeah, so happy to hear that a lot of people are using our task engine to track and manage work. That's excellent, as well as using it for QA/QC, punch processes. Fantastic use of FieldWire. So today, my job is just to give you an overview of a couple ways that FieldWire can help access and share information, as well as track and manage that work on your job site. For those of you who are less familiar with FieldWire. So here, we've launched straight into the web version of FieldWire. So you can see all of your project information lives in this left toolbar here. So things like your plans, your specs, tasks, photos, all that lives within your project, within FieldWire at your fingertips. And that's really the theme of FieldWire, is getting that data at your fingertips. And the way that we do that is by, first of all, offering unlimited data on any of our paid tiers. We have no limits on sheet counts or files or photos. We want you to have that information available on site. So we have no caps on any data limits. Next, all of that data is then downloaded locally to your mobile device. What that allows is you to access that information with or without an internet connection. So that's going to allow you, if you're in a dark, damp basement with low cell phone service, you'll still be able to access FieldWire on your tablet or mobile device, integrate with that app seamlessly, and then when you regain that internet connection, it will sync back to the server. So next, I just want to show you a couple examples on how we use FieldWire to access and share information. So, as a PM, it was always difficult for me to keep a consolidated, up-to-date plan set for my team, right? So FieldWire makes that super simple with our drag and drop interface here. So when you get that plan, that first plan update, you just drag and drop those plans into FieldWire, or we support a two-way sync with Dropbox, Box, or OneDrive, allowing you to push and pull information from either of those cloud data solutions. Next, FieldWire is going to start breaking apart that multi-sheet PDF, automatically naming the sheet based on that sheet number, as well as creating these digital hyperlinks, which will allow you to access those plan elevations, those detailed callouts right on the fly. But the headache isn't always that first plan revision, right? It's the following plan revisions. It's Rev 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes 3, 4 a month, right? So FieldWire makes keeping that plan set up to date super simple with our digital slip sheeting and digital version control system. So just like before, you just drag and drop that multi-sheet PDF of that revised drawing onto FieldWire, and then FieldWire is going to start scanning the sheets the exact same way and say, hey, I already have an A201-1 sheet. Is this a plan revision? And you just click confirm, and then FieldWire will digitally slip sheet that latest version on top, as well as lift up all of your markups onto that latest version. So I have an example here where we're on Rev 2 of this particular plan set. But if we want to, we can absolutely go back in time, look at that Rev 1 just for some context to see what has changed, But FieldWire is smart. It's going to put this old version watermark on our plans to let us know, hey, this is old information, don't build off this. But there's still some ambiguity about what plan changes have occurred. The drawings aren't clouded well, so maybe what we'll do is digitally overlay the plans within FieldWire to quickly understand what's changed on the drawings here. So I'm going to use our built-in plan comparison tool to compare the two drawing sets. And the slogan here at FieldWire is that blue is new and red is dead. So you can see here that we've added several walls in the special education and library room, as well as removed some walls in this conference room, but these changes are not clouded. So it would be difficult to ascertain what has changed on the drawing sets. But within FieldWire, what we can do is quickly and easily cloud those drawings, and then we'll know that those drawings will have changed in that area. Maybe we'll make a quick note to our foreman as well, maybe with an arrow, and just say wall changes in this area, revision 2. And then we'll hop out of that plan comparison. Now FieldWire is going to lift up those markups and allow us to instantly sync across our project team. So, you know, within a couple of minutes, we've updated our plan set and we've allowed FieldWire to distribute those plan revisions to our foremen and our PMs in the field, right? So here, I'll hop into the web version of FieldWire, and you can see that we've synced those plan changes in real time, and now we have that information at our fingertips. So next, I wanted to show you how we utilize our task system to plan and manage work, right? Sounds like a lot of you are familiar with that, but for the roughly 60% who aren't, this is just a brief overview of FieldWire's task engine. So here we've loaded up into the default task view within FieldWire, this Kanban style view, and you can see all of our tasks are loaded into FieldWire, and they're organized into these task statuses that represent the major milestones of all the tasks on the project. So we can organize it based on the status of the project and then eventually moving into the completed and then finally verified bucket, signaling that we've completed that particular task. Next, we can categorize these tasks based on the type of work that's being done or any sort of customizable category you might want. And then that allows us to easily filter and sort these tasks by just the information we're looking for. So for example, here we'll filter down by just the drywall task to give us a quick overview of, you know, the upcoming drywall tasks. These task statuses are also fully customizable to whatever sort of language and workflow is best for your business use case. You know, we're not trying to pigeonhole you into any sort of specific language, whether you call it Punch or GoBacks. You know, if you want to customize this, we encourage you to have this tailor-made to your specific workflow. Within tasks, we also support a calendar and a Gantt chart view, which allows us to view how that work is being put in chronologically, so we can easily ascertain the amount of manpower loading we'll need and our schedule for the upcoming weeks. So now I'm going to walk through just a quick example of how we would use tasks in the field on the fly to address some of those QA/QC punch list type items, right? So I'm going to hop back over to the web version of the platform. And let's just imagine that, you know, we're a superintendent on site and, you know, the owner and architect are coming for a site walk tomorrow. And we just want to make sure everything looks spick and span before they get on site. So we're walking the job and we noticed that, okay, crap, there's a damaged carpet tile in at the threshold of this door, right? So that's something we want to tag as an item to be addressed. So we're going to click that task pin, drop that right in the plans here, give that a quick title, damaged carpet tiles at door threshold. Next, we're going to assign that out to our PM because maybe we don't have the time in the day to address it right now, but we want to make sure that our PM is aware of this issue. We'll snap a quick photo of the issue. So there we can see that we have that damaged carpet. If we want, we can mark it up to show exactly where that damage is. And then finally, maybe we want to send a message to our PM just to let them know the urgency of getting this fixed prior to the site walk. So we could say, you know, at Kevin Driscoll, I was walking the job today prior to tomorrow's site walk with the OAC, and there's a damaged carpet tile. Is there any way we can replace this prior to tomorrow's site walk? post that, right? Then instantaneously, that's going to sync back with our PM back in the back office, so he knows he's got a new task to sort out prior to tomorrow's site walk. So instantly, I can gain access to the information that my super Kelsey has provided. I know exactly where on the site that it is. I've got a photo of the issue, so I have all the context immediately of how to address the issue. I can easily respond back to Kelsey and just say 10-4, we'll address it this afternoon. Thanks for the heads up. All right. So we'll post that message back to Kelsey. And then what's great about our messaging system is it sends push notifications to let Kelsey know, hey, myself, Kevin, is going to take care of this. Kelsey, doesn't have to worry about that particular QA/QC item anymore. And so those are just kind of two easy, simple ways, just an overview of how you might use plans and tasks to both, access and share that information, as well as plan and execute work out in the field. So now I'm going to hand it back over to Elizabeth, and we're going to continue the presentation today.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. We did get a couple questions while you were presenting. Can you actually, let's see.
I apologize.
No worries. If you want to actually go ahead and probably very quickly show the exporting process, and just, is there an opportunity to just print a sheet if they wanted? You can also just answer verbally too.
Yeah, absolutely. So can everyone see my screen again?
Yes.
Perfect. So the question was, how do you then run reports from these tasks? That was the first question.
Yeah, running report, exporting, and also whether there are options to print.
Yeah, absolutely. So running reports on these tasks is very straightforward. We have a very robust report generation tool, and these reports can be templated and carried across project to project. So for example, here, we'll run a quick punch report, for example. And you can see we can filter down exactly the information that we want to include or exclude from these reports. So maybe in this case, we want to include full-size plans just for additional context. We can also email these out directly from FieldWire or download them as a one-off report or schedule that out. So let's say you have that weekly or bi-monthly OAC meeting. We can schedule that out to automatically run. So when you go to that meeting, that report's already in your inbox. So what does that look like here? We'll quick run that report. And then while we're doing that, I'll open that back up and we'll talk through how we would export tasks. So here we go. We've run this report. You can see we've got our table of contents, our header page, and then it's pulling all that data from each individual task into just a nice, clean, consolidated punch report that you can share with your owner or share internally as a tracking document. Exporting plans is very straightforward. We can either bulk export by selecting a whole folder of plans and going to export plans. We can then choose to decide what markups we want to include, or we can always export just a one-off plan. And I'm sorry, what was the final question, Elizabeth?
Final question was, are there any printing options? But once you export, you'll be able to print it from your laptop there.
Right, exactly, yeah. So it exports to PDF. So from that PDF, you can print it at any at the appropriate size of your drawings.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. So I do see that we do have some other questions. If we have time towards the end of the webinar, we'll go ahead and answer them. If not, I'll probably privately chat you or we will email to get back to you. Okay?
All right.
Okay. Can everyone see? Can everyone see my slides? There we go. All right. So thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Ben, for our intro to FieldWire session. Next up, we have High Speed Rail joint venture with Pierce Junker.
Good morning, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. I apologize in advance if there's some background noise. I am in the office right now working. A little bit about me. My name is Pierce. I'm a quality control inspector on the High Speed Rail project. I started at the project as an inspector. I now do help oversight for the Hanford Viaduct structure. It's a superstructure which will be sort of the main transfer station centralized here in the Central Valley, California. Our project is a design build and requires us to prove project completion. And otherwise we don't get paid. So our quality team plays a major role in that, not only in our inspection process, but also in verifying quality and tracking our progress to make sure that we're following the project requirements. I also became very interested in FieldWire and how we could utilize their product, and kind of spearheaded the integration for our team. So that's where I'm at. So before we were using FieldWire, some of the challenges we were facing is the requirement for our construction quality control checklist and daily reports that show the work we have completed. I know this is pretty normal for most projects, and the design of our construction quality checklists are pretty unique. Before I was here, when this project was first started, the quality team put together this list of CQCs that we use as our daily reports. So our inspectors would check off items on these CQCs as they apply to our inspection test plans. And this design makes perfect sense, but one of the issues we ran into was keeping track of our progress because of how many of these reports we were getting. At any given time, we're broken up into 3 segments. This is a rather large project. We have, easily over 20 active work sites going on any given day throughout our project. So in our naming convention, throwing it into these folders made it really easy for some of these reports to get lost. A lot of them look similar, and they're just progression reports. A lot of these are progress reports, and sometimes it's hard to see what's actually been done and completed. So we found looking for these reports that contain certain information, it took some extra effort and time to track it down. And so we kind of could get lost in that jumble. We have on a monthly basis a requirement on our project and our contract to report what we've done so far to our client. And so that process has kind of been a huge stress factor on us, because some of this gets lost, items end up missing, work gets done, and because it's such a big project and because there's so many active sites, sometimes we have our schedule and we go, okay, here's what's going on, and then all of a sudden there's 3 new active work sites going on, right? And we have to call someone to get them out there, and then we don't look at the schedule, or we look at the schedule and then we realize, oh, we didn't get a report from that because we weren't looking for it, right? So that was some of the major stress factors we had prior to this, and I would say one of the other stress factors was not such a user-friendly platform. So why FieldWire? Our team, I think with the integration of FieldWire, one of the major changes and benefits we've gotten out of FieldWire is the task checklist system that Stefan and Kevin and Ben were going over a little bit. Basically, Brent has done a fantastic job of helping us integrate this system onto our project and really get it off the ground and moving. And it's really changed how we track our work. Having the service with the quality team and the inspectors can keep track of the work going on in the field has been a huge upgrade and weight off our shoulders. We built these tasks pretty much like our CQCs. So we've taken all these inspection task plans that we have, these inspection test plans that we have, and built them as our checklists in these tasks. And now it's really easy. You know, we have a lot of ongoing work where, for example, on some of these structures, rebar work for one area on the plans could take up to a week long. And sometimes we'll have several different inspectors, and the last guy won't know what the guy had done before, or maybe he missed something and we didn't see it. And so we have all these progress reports, and sometimes it gets a little bit difficult to track that. And so with this, we're able to now check off items that have been completed. We know exactly where they're at, and if a new guy comes on, he can look at where it was left off. He can look at messages and comments and say, hey, you know, we noticed some of these missing bars here. We already talked to the team. They're going to get it taken care of. And so now he doesn't have to worry and go, oh, you know, figure out what's missing and what's going on there. So that's been a major aspect. And now we have sort of this overall progression we can track throughout our team. It's less emails, less phone calls back and forth going, hey, what's going on with this certain, you know, segment. And one of the things that Kevin also addressed is the exporting process, which has been a huge benefit on us as well. We're able to now, with this system and with the way we track our work, instead of going through a folder and finding, you know, 24 PDFs and trying to piece together a story of what work was completed, we can now export these as whole documents and submit them to our client, so they can get a good update on what we've been doing. And also, you know, with the inspectors that we have, a lot of them, we have third-party inspectors that are out there, and sometimes we get new guys on new sites they've never been to. They don't know what they're looking at. You know, they're familiar with the inspection process, but you know, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to read through the plans and figure out where they're at and what needs to be done. And so one of the big aspects too that has really helped with these tasks is that we're able to pin them directly to the plans. So when these guys get out there, we assign them these tasks, and then they get that notification, they open it up, they don't have to call us and get emails or find out where they're at. They can open up that task. They know exactly what needs to be checked off, what work needs to be performed, and they can see in real time where they're at on those plans and what needs to be done. And I think also for us, one of the extremely useful aspects is it's very user friendly. And I think it's really important for a lot of these guys. You know, a lot of guys are old school. They've been in the industry a long time, and you know, some of them, by no fault of their own, are not the best with computers. And introducing a tablet is not any different. So that's really something. You know, this software is not something you need to take a class to learn. It's very simple and straightforward, very easy to navigate. They can see exactly where everything is. They can see what they need to do. You know, and then any questions and issues that we have extremely good communication with Brent, our FieldWire rep, and it makes it really easy for us to navigate. So that's sort of the main big change, is that task utilization. It's completely changed it for us, and I think that as we learn more about FieldWire and we continue to have these meetings with Brent, he keeps updating us on where we're at, and I think that's really important. It's really helped us a lot, is that he stays active on making sure, hey, are you guys getting the most out of our software, our product? And so we're able to have that communication streamlined and able to keep up to date, and I'm still learning new things, and it's really helping us move forward on this project. Workflow. Sorry, let me see where I'm at here.
No.
I did get the question. Why did we choose FieldWire? And that one's a funny one to me. That's probably really above my pay grade to answer. But I imagine that, you know, with the use we've gotten out of it and how much everybody enjoys using it and how helpful it is, that question answers itself. So, and how do we envision FieldWire helping our company scale in the future? I know that our organization on this project would have been a very different world if we started out using the system, and probably would have saved us a lot of headaches and growing pains. So I know there is talk of integrating the system on some other projects for our company. I think this is absolutely can help us in the future, especially, you know, reducing a lot of the stress of tracking work, of document control. A lot of these aspects are now reduced to one location that is in live time. Everybody can take a look at it at any time they want, and kind of everybody's on the same page. You know, it'll save us from meetings. It'll save us a lot. So I know that this will absolutely help us in the future, and I do believe we'll be utilizing this on several other projects for our company.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pierce. I know it, putting together these slides, and can you all still see my screen? Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I loved how you highlighted just, you know, how FieldWire is really bridging that gap between the field and office, right? Minimizing the back and forth, and helping with that communication along the way. And I think something that Pierce also highlighted that was awesome was, you know, the customer support you get when you sign up with FieldWire. You know, we don't let you just sign up and just kind of let you go running by yourself. Like, once you sign up, we'll be there every step of the way. If you have questions, if you want us to help you set things up and get it going, we're here to help.
Absolutely.
All right. And that wraps up this part of the webinar. Moving to the next segment. All right. Can everyone still see my screen here? Okay. So we have our summer product updates, and I'd love to hand it off to Stefan and Brent.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stefan. I'm the VP of Product at FieldWire. I also originally come from the construction industry, been with FieldWire for 7 years now, and I lead the development of new products and features for the FieldWire platform. And I'm here with Brent.
Hi, guys. My name is Brent Collins. I'm a construction success manager on the OAC side of things. Me too, myself as well. I come from the construction background. I worked for various general contractors for 10 years prior to coming over to FieldWire about 1.5 years ago.
Next slide, please. So yeah, judging by the questions we received so far, like a lot of you on the call today are already using FieldWire, and so we want to go over a few product updates that we've been releasing over the last few months. So we'll start with updates on plans and markups, which is kind of the core of the platform. And first, I want to highlight markup symbols, which was a big update that we released back in January. And basically that gives you the option to add symbols like an electrical outlet or security camera onto your plans from any platform. And I want to highlight a couple of smaller updates that we've released in the past couple of months. You can now rotate and resize your markup symbols just to make sure that they precisely record the existing or the as-built conditions on site. Next, I want to talk about small improvements to our markup tools and the ability to add a fill to any shape that you draw onto your plans. This is, you know, coming in handy when you want to convey installation progress for a given room or zone on your job site. Next. So with FieldWire, you can take linear or area measurements onto your plans. One thing that we've released in the last few months is the ability to take on multi-line measurements to measure the perimeter of a room or linear footage of piping, with this new tool. And then last but not least, I want to talk about a feature that's not yet available, but it will be available in the next few months, which we call markup summaries. And that will allow you to export all of your markup data from any set of plans and let you manipulate that data in Excel. So this is something I'm personally pretty excited about. Like, it opens up the door to sum up, your measurements, or even like the counts of symbols that you've added onto your plans, and that can serve as a baseline for takeoffs or estimating purposes. So with that in mind, I'll hand it off to Brent so that he can walk you through how those features look like in the product.
All right, can everyone see my screen here? Nope. Oh, shoot.
Not yet.
There we go. Yep.
There we go.
There we go. Awesome. Cool. So I just wanted to show you guys a few ways in which these features might be used in your day-to-day. So we all know that designs are never perfect, and sometimes, mistakes are made in the design process. So with FieldWire's new markup symbols, we can place industry standard symbols in locations where designers might have missed communicating pertinent information, like this illuminated exit sign that we can put in this location here. These are also extremely useful to document owner changes. We all know that owner that likes to change things on the fly on, sometimes on a day-to-day basis, it feels like. So here we have a situation where the current design showed dual receptacles in this room, and the owner wants to come in and change them to quad receptacles. So with FieldWire symbols, we can document this on the drawings before the updated drawings even come out. So this is going to communicate the change with all the team members before that drawing issuance is released. We can also cloud this entire area, export it to PDF, so we can send it to our subcontractors and suppliers for change order pricing for this process. And then we can also use this same document clouded for change order backup when we send it to the owner once pricing is completed. And these markups can also be used as backup for RFIs in case we want to send a confirming RFI over to the designer, just to make sure that that the owner wants to proceed with this change. These symbols can also be done in private as well. If everyone remembers, everybody has the option to have private markups, whether you're an admin member or a follower. So let's say in this certain situation, an owner wants to put a receptacle up at 48 inches because they want a TV in the area, but he's a little bit indecisive. So we can put a private markup symbol in this location just to remind us that we need to follow up with this potential open item. And then just a reminder, all these symbols are also available on the mobile version as well. Additionally, going into the shading in your different markups, so this could be really useful to identify areas that have reached certain project milestones. Maybe you guys are tracking, which areas are ready for in-wall inspections, above ceiling inspections, nailing inspections for framing and drywall, or substantial completion, so you can move into the punch list process. So these green areas are going to communicate with your team members of these areas that are ready for particular inspections or ready to move forward with the punch list process. And we can also, this isn't only just for the commercial side of things. We can also identify these issues, on larger civil projects as well. We do have a project out in Maryland. It's a 12-mile light rail system that uses this to identify locations that are complete. And then lastly, we have the multi-line tool. So again, we're able to pull lineal dimensions that are continuous in nature. This feature can help users with, takeoffs or pulling abstract dimensions for MEP runs, figuring critical runs through buildings for Cat 6. I remember I was on a project once. It was a 4-story, 60,000 square foot building with only one MPO room, and Cat 6 couldn't, after so many feet, it kind of loses its ability to process data. So, and then also to identify perimeter dimensions for items like base, cove base, casework, and the likes of that. So in this scenario, we have this could potentially help you with value engineering efforts. In this certain situation, we're trying to figure if, Schluter Cove base is actually going to be, more cost effective than tile cove base for this situation in these 2 bathrooms. Again, we can pull these dimensions, easily find out the quantity that we need to price out, and then we can use this for change order backup or directives to the subcontractors or suppliers. And with that, I will turn it back over to Stefan.
Thank you, Brent. Well, you might need to unshare your screen. Okay, we'll pull up this in a minute. All right, so we went over updates on plans and markups. Next, we want to go over some updates that we've recently made to tasks and forms. So we just heard from Pierce about the importance of checklist templates for a QA process. And so an exciting feature that I want to call out today is account checklist. You can now manage your checklist templates at the company level from your accounts templates tab. And once you've done that, you can then import those account checklists into individual projects. The goal here is to help you standardize your processes across different projects. Next, I want to talk about task attributes customization. So last year, we released a pretty major update, which allows you to add custom task attributes, but also hide attributes that you don't need to avoid clutter on your task. There's a couple of new updates that we made to this feature, which is one to reorder attributes, so you can make sure that they're grouped in a way that makes sense for your project teams. And then once you've set up those task attributes configuration within one of your template projects, you can copy that configuration whenever you clone new projects. So those 2 most recent updates were added in the past couple of months. Then we've heard about forms, and forms are really a way for customers to digitize their paper-based processes, right? And one thing that we want to improve on is like the ease of setup and how easy it is to create new form templates to get your fields going on the field. And so one thing that we recently released is the ability to copy or duplicate specific sections within a form template, just to help speed up that process a little bit for your admins. And then last but not least, I want to highlight an upcoming feature that will be available later this summer, which is the ability to create and link a task onto your forms. So as you're completing a daily report, you can, for instance, link the activities or the task that were completed that day, just to make it easier for your teams to kind of contextualize the information from your dailies. And with that, I'll pass it back to Brent to walk us through those updates in the product.
All right, I think you guys can see it now. Just to kind of tie that together, so this particular project in this particular scenario, we have a project that is currently checking or tracking inspection statuses and leak types down here using our custom task attributes feature. But also this project might not have a use for manpower and cost, for instance. So with managing our different attributes, we can hit that little pinwheel or that little cog at the top, and we can actually turn off specific features that aren't relevant to our current workflow. And then we can also move the different attributes up and down. So if I wanted my leak type and my inspection status above my watchers here, just so it's a little bit more visible to everybody on the project, I'd be able to do so. And then you simply click out, and then you can reorganize all of your different attributes on the right-hand side. Again, what we're able to do is to organize and to turn off certain attributes that aren't relevant to your company's current task workflow. Additionally, with duplicating the different form sections, for those of you that might not be familiar with forms, this is our vehicle to create a customized form, so you can take your current forms that you're currently using in your current process and recreating them into FieldWire, so you can digitize that entire process. So right here we have a table where we're tracking material deliveries for a specific building on site, but this is a campus type of project. So if we want to, so now we're going to start building building B, and we have to start tracking materials for that building as well. So all we have to do over here on the right hand side is hit this duplicate button, and it's going to take all this same content and create a brand new table, so we don't have to create it from scratch. Then all we have to do is go over here, change the title to building B, and now seamlessly we can start tracking materials based on the buildings and all the buildings on that campus. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Stefan.
Thanks, Brent. All right, so to wrap up this section, now I want to talk about RFIs and submittals, which are new modules that are part of our Business Plus offering. And I want to collect a couple of updates that we recently made. So the first one is what we call spec links. When viewing a specification on web, you can now see all of the submittals that are associated with that specification section. And you can also create new submittals or even RFIs on the spot. The value here is to contextualize the information and make it easy for you to jump between content. And next, I want to talk about RFI reports. So you can export your RFIs or submittals in a PDF format, so like in a log of those, which makes a nice report that you can then share with the owner or the architect during OAC meetings. All right, that's all we had for today. If you had any questions about any of those, feel free to ask them in the chat. And then I'll pass it back to Elizabeth.
All right, thank you so much, Stefan and Brent. If you have questions, drop it in the chat. We'll answer them towards the end of the webinar. All right, for the next segment, we're going to introduce Dean Snyder Construction. We have Michael Huff today speaking with us on how they've standardized and digitized forms and reports. Pass it to you.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, a little bit about myself, Michael Huff. I've been with Dean Snyder for 11 years. We've got a few different locations, and we've been using FieldWire since I believe 2016. So it's been a good 7 or so years here. And then on the next slide. Before FieldWire, I would say that we faced quite a few challenges with our process flow. Basically just calling it inconsistent or slow, to say the least. But similar to one of the polls earlier, there was a mix of paper copy items that were getting filled out. And as you can imagine, the transfer of that information was quite slow. But even then, on some of our other forms that were being filled out electronically, the system to it was that documents would get edited and then uploaded to some sort of cloud-based program. The saving of those files was a very painful process for our guys, and it led to errors, missing files that maybe weren't syncing or just ended up in the wrong file altogether, and or maybe just people not filling them out because they were confused or frustrated. So this was happening with a lot of our on-site field leaders, our superintendents, our foremans, and we needed to change that. Another process or item that we worked through, it was with our project managers. They would make a site visit, be taking notes by hand in the field, to then bring those notes back to the office and create some reports. Maybe with meeting minutes, punch lists, whatever it might be, but a process that had multiple steps going from program to hand to program that was unnecessary. So next slide. So when it gets to the why FieldWire, it seems obvious at this point with what we've done in the past, but it just keeps all of the project documents in the same program as other relevant stuff. You know, the plans are there, the specs are there, submittals, files, photos. So why not have forms and other types of reports within it? And what I will say also is, Pierce hit on it earlier, but it's general ease of use. And I won't, and not just the overall ease of use, but on a mobile device, just absolutely extremely easy. And that's needed with most of our field personnel that are of that old school nature and still not wanting to change the ways. And it's just made it very easy for us to transition and use just about everything on there. So, and at the end of the day, it connects the field and the office in real time. And that goes across various different trades. So with that, our current workflow with FieldWire, I would say that our biggest use of forms is doing daily project reports. Kind of nice and simple, but it's just, you know, our on-site supervisors need to document what is taking place. So that's the weather, the safety aspects that are going on, subcontractors, our own employees, you know, just the general progress, any conflicts that come up, even down to the equipment that is on site, just being able to track all of that information in a certain place. And again, the ease of ability to fill these forms out from any device, including mobile, because superintendent, he's out on the job site taking care of items, and instead of having to remember a specific item that came up and then have to go back to the trailer and document that on a laptop or maybe a tablet if he happened to have it on him, they're able to pull out their phone and note whatever just happened in real time. You know, take that picture, check that checkbox, say, oh, this showed up, whatever it is, they can do it in that moment. And that's been fantastic. Additionally, with the standardization of these forms, we've been able to come up with systems that we can track data across multiple reports. And actually with that, we've actually eliminated some other forms we were requiring. Like we had a whole separate spreadsheet for tracking equipment. So now our superintendents had to fill out like 2 or 3. We've been able to combine it and streamline it into just a quote unquote daily job report. And we're able to export that data and do other means with it. I will also say with our forms, we've been picking up quite a few different things recently with different uses for the forms. Say it's maybe with meeting minutes or doing some sort of short interval planning, while also having lots of others in the works. I mean, we basically have small groups kind of always testing out new ideas of, you know, hey, this was really handy. How can we implement it on this other issue we're having? So a group will kind of work on it, and then next thing we know, we're rolling it out company-wide, and everybody's able to enjoy how to use or able to use those forms to simplify certain processes. And actually kind of within that, we're working on the whole using some of them for quality control. So that was nice to see and hear earlier in this as well. Then when it comes to reporting and kind of using the task, we have generally used it for punch list. We've had some other uses just to be able to export task to give a summary of different, like a grouping of tasks to be able to explain that to an owner or a sub or whatnot. But most of the time it's been punch list related, and it's just been an amazing time saver for the whole process. We ran through it earlier in this, but I mean, you create that task, add a little title, take a photo of the defect or what is going on, assign a party or a trade or person to that, and then you're able to create that report. And with those reports, they can be shared with those trades that were impacted. Give it to the client so they understand what's going on or what needs done. And those architects as well. And that report looks very professional, and you can follow it very well. And even beyond that report, the trades are getting more knowledgeable, excuse me, on the task and able to collaborate with the task within FieldWire. They're able to go in there and update to prove that an item was completed or not completed before we even get to the reporting process. And looking ahead, I touched on it a little bit, like, we're utilizing small groups to kind of constantly use the tools we have within FieldWire and, forms specifically, and, take care of pain points. But at the end of the day, it's great to facilitate all those project documents, to connect all of the partners from client to trades and their offices to their field crews to just make it go better. And with that, it's just, we're rolling out those new workflows to make things more efficient. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. Here, let me turn my video back on. Can everyone still see my screen here? Okay. But yeah, I mean, I loved what you mentioned about, really rolling out the new features to the various teams. And, here at FieldWire, we're constantly innovating. There's always like new little features, larger features. And, the goal for us is to really help you all grow, right? And if your company is growing, we're there to grow with you. And, throughout product development, we're also very open to having more conversations to see where we can also, be headed towards for our product to facilitate that growth. Okay, to wrap up the session, I know we've run out of time, but I do want to make sure that we answer some of these questions that have come in. And I'm just gonna run through a couple of them. And if you're on the FieldWire team, and if you think you can answer that questions, just hop right in. All right, so one question is, does the Forms feature have the ability to record timesheets for a crew attached to a daily report? Anyone on the FieldWire team?
So I mean, yeah, the answer is yes. Like you can use our Forms capability for both daily reports and timesheets, like by setting up different templates for both. But like the tracking of the data will have to be separate. Like, so we're talking about two different forms, like one form for the daily report and then one form for the timesheet, if that makes sense. If I didn't answer your question, feel free to follow up. Happy to take it offline.
Next, we have, are checklists available on mobile? If so, do you have them in offline mode?
Yeah, I answered that question in the chat, but yes, like our mobile apps like work fully offline. So once you've downloaded the data on the device, then you can use it without connectivity, and any kind of checklist are part of that.
Awesome. Okay. And also, I think it'll be helpful to kind of reiterate these answers because not everyone in the audience could see those answers. Another question we got was those RFI reports. When we create those reports, are we able to attach photos?
Yeah, so there are two things. So we have individual RFI and submittal exports. So that's just for like a given RFI. So any kind of attachments that you've added to the RFI will be, so that includes photos, will be included in the export. And then we have RFI logs export, which is more of a kind of a summary of all of the RFIs on the project. And those logs will more include like top level information. So they won't include any photos or attachments.
Awesome, thanks, Stefan. Next, is it possible to clone an existing project's drawings and forms that were previously created?
Yeah,
It is
go ahead.
possible. Go ahead, Stefan.
Yeah, so I also answered this question in the chat, but so essentially when you clone projects from a project template will allow you to clone the structure of the project. So for plans and forms, that includes the plans folders and the form templates. We don't currently copy over any project data. So any kind of drawings or specific forms that you've created in a source project won't be copied over when you clone. So for now, like you'll have to recreate that data manually in your new project.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So we are out of time for today. And I know that we do have some unanswered questions, or maybe you've already received an answer in private. But if there are any further questions, please reach out. You will receive a recording at the end. And thank you all for joining. Good to see you all. Bye.